Designing Luminar Neo presets that work is our topic today on Luminar Coffee Break. Let's see what we can accomplish in 10 minutes or less, starting now. Hello, everyone. All right, so this topic came about, once again, we were talking with a bunch of our Luminar insiders, and they want to know the order of operation for presets. And then I worked with my good friend Angie Birmingham. We were talking about designing presets for her workshops, and her comment was, well, the only problem with presets is they don't always work. And that's true if you don't follow these simple guidelines. And it's not just for Luminar Neo, it's for any preset that you're creating. Let me show you some of the tips behind it. All right. So here, you know what? I'm going to grab some shots we took because you know I love puffins. This was a shot I took, these images here, from when we were in Iceland on our Luminar Neo, or on our creative tour. All right. Now, I'm looking at the shot. The first thing you have to do is figure out what's going to be the common denominator between all of these. Well, the best way to do that is just catch yourself. Well, what do you normally do? Well, I normally come in and develop. Now that we have the auto adjust, I use that. Then I come down and I adjust the black tones. The whites are pretty good. I'm not worried about like the dust and all that stuff. That's individual stuff. I need to make sure that this I'm going to capture. Let's say pop a little contrast here, right about there. I absolutely love and adore my Enhance AI. So we'll use Accent AI. In this particular scene, there's no sky, but I'm going to put the sky enhancer just a little bit. So other ones that have that in there will benefit from it. And then we could do some of the details, just pump them up just a little bit. All right. Not too much. And then common denominator, the noise reduction. You know what? What I'm going to do is I'm going to come down to here. And under noise reduction, I'm just going to do just a little bit. Just a touch. All right. So these are things I normally do. All right. So you catch yourself repeating these patterns over and over again. That's when you create a preset. So let's look at this. So here's the original. And look, just that short time, that's what we came up with. Now I could tweak it a little bit further. Let's say I got a little too heavy-handed with develop. Yeah, I'm going to dial that back just a little bit. There we go. All right. There. All right. So I have it all set. Then you come down here, right here, where the more is, next to the ratings. And I'm going to save as preset. Now, what name do I give it? Well, we've already established I usually do this with all of my images in the very beginning. So maybe just call it starting point. All right, so now I call it starting point. So I select these images here. And actually, because, well, let's do this. So just walk you through how you come back the next day and you're working on some new images. So this is the image. This is a brand new image. I click on starting point. Boom, there it is. And what's neat about this, what's really neat by what they've just added, was the ability to adjust the percentage. So if I decide to take the starting point from 100%, I can narrow it down, maybe 75, 80, whatever. I can apply that percentage-wise, and it takes all of those changes we made, and it makes sure that each one of them are changed properly. It's like a recipe that you create that says, hey, this serves 4 people. Well, I want it for 8 people. It calculates all that for you and just increases it proportionally. So now if I look under edits, under my history, again, we're going to call this history. Look, everything we created earlier is right there. Now, I could just select it, select the other ones. Since this is highlighted in gold, right click, adjustments, sync adjustments. It's going to sync it to this image here because that's the original. Now look, it's done. So now I have a starting point, and then from there I could decide, okay, well, this image here definitely needs to get rid of the dust spots. So let's see, erase, remove dust spots, give it a chance, and then you take it from there and you work forward. Now, that was a quick way, just a real simple way to show you how we could get that done. But what if you're saying, well, Vanelli, you know what? I don't know what I start with. I'm not quite sure. Now I have another little secret that we're going to work with. Look at that. Oh, that came out good. Oh, beautiful baby puffins. There we go. All right. So let's do, all right. Here's my sister's house. And the only thing it does, by the way, cropping does not save in a preset. So I'm going to crop this quite a bit. And yes, I should have used a longer lens, even though that was 200 millimeter. There. All right. There we go. All right. So here it is. Now, if you're not quite sure where to start, click on presets. And you know what? Pick right up here, the first one for this photo. This is using AI technology to analyze the image and figure out what presets do we have that's built in that would make this look really good. Some will be great. Some may not work for this photo. That doesn't matter. What you're going to do is use these to help create what you're doing. So, oh, look at that. Here, these are creative ones. I'm going to go back to a basic. So that enhanced forest is more for creative. Let's see, natural. Oh, okay, look at this. Macro world. Oh, that one looks good. Best up close. Oh, I like that one too. You know, and if I like it, I'm just going to star it. I'm going to come back to that for a moment. And filmatic, that's a little too much. Good. So those, I think that one's going to be that. I think that's going to be the one I'm going to choose. But you know, you can go back through and look at all these other ones. Okay, like scenic. Okay, yeah. Look at this one. Fast. I'll use that one. Fast fix. Before and after. Ready? Here's before. There's after. That was truly a fast fix. Well, now let's come under here to edit. History. Ooh, what did these professional photographers do? Well, look what they did with develop. Very, very minor. So with develop, I bet you it was curves. Yep. Look, they applied curves. This right here is what's doing all the heavy lifting. If you're like me, curves are a pain in the neck. It's old school, but it's necessary. Look what it's doing to it. You're improving the highlights, the shadows, and the midtones, but it does a great job. So the pros in our team did this for you. Of course, Enhance AI, that's my go-to. Ooh, look at this, landscape. What did it do with landscape? Popped a little golden hour in there. All right, I'm going to put a little dehaze, see if that does anything. Yeah, you know, I am going to use a little dehaze. Notice, I'm going to make my own changes now. Color. Let's see what it did here. Nope, not a whole lot, but I am going to desaturate just a little bit, but I'm going to bump up the vibrancy. So think of saturations global that affects the entire image. Vibrancy is dealing only with the muted colors. Okay, yeah, they did. Under hue and saturation, they bumped up the yellows. See if it makes a difference. Yeah, look at that. And actually, you know what? I'm going to move this back. There we go. All right, in color harmony. Oh, very, very minor. Look what it's doing. So notice here, look how it's bringing out those golden colors. Yep, sure enough, here it is. All right, so not only did it teach me something new, well, I actually like that crop better. Not only did it teach me something new, in fact, you know what? I like that crop right there. All right, so I have it set, but notice I used somebody else's preset in the beginning. Now I'm going to come in and let's do structure. Pump up my structure just a little bit. There we go. Now I have it set. Save it as a preset. Remember, it was somebody else's. I can give it a creative name. I always joke and say, this is mine. Now, sucker. All right, now we'll change that. Let's go starting point. And by the way, if you just put SP for starting point, let's say golden. So that, and you just start crafting these. Now, watch this. I'm going to copy it. And let me just apply it to this, this, and this. Adjustment and paste. Now I'm going to apply them. Just look how, look what I just did to the color here. Look how it just popped it out. Not going overboard. So now that we did this, right, let's take it a step further and get a little more creative. So let's say like this one here, edit. And now here's, and I'm going to show you why I'm doing it this way. I'm going to come in and let's add just some of these flares. Let's take the color and completely desaturate because I don't want the color affecting it. I just like the flares, so I get rid of all the color on that layer. All right, and let's do. You know what? Again, it's screaming a painting to me. So, like I always said, when in doubt, let Carly's bail me out. So I'm using my buddy Carly's textures. And I'm going to bring the opacity in a little bit more. But I do want to change this to soft light. Let's say 100%. All right, now overlay looks, you know what? I like overlay better. I'm going to stick with overlay. And now what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to tell it to stretch to this. And the reason for that is, what if the next one isn't as large? So let's see what that does. All right. So I'm going to stretch it. And then, of course, do the same thing. I'm going to get rid of that color because the color's clashing with it. There we go. And all I really wanted was this texture like down in here. All right. So that's one. Let's see if I have another one. Make it real quick. See all. Do I have, you know what? Let's try this one. Again, stretch it. That's what it looks like. And then, yep. Okay, I'm just getting a little crazy right now because I want to prove a point on order of operation. There we go. All right. So now that we have that set, and yes, I mean, stuff like down in here, you could fix and stuff, but watch what's going to happen. Order of operation, like I was saying. All right. So I'm going to save all this, how we normally do with a preset, but watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy it. Now, when I apply it to this one, paste, watch what's going to happen. Oh, look at this. Because I put those textures and I cropped it, look at the size. So that's not going to work. So do you remember what I said? We have to be very strategic on the way we do this. Well, if I come over here, look at this, everything that I recorded in the other preset now appears here. So this is definitely not going to work. So what I'd have to do is come in here and tell it stretch. Do the same thing with this one. Stretch. Do the same thing with this one. Stretch. Now I got the look going into what we were looking for. So when you're creating your presets, these are things you're not going to put in that preset unless you know specifically. Like in this case here, what I would do is this. So adjustments, revert to original. All right. What I would do is this. Crop this image the same that I did with the other one. So if I would start with a base, get the image looking the way I want it. On that other image, now I start to build from that base. And from building on that base, well, it's going to require that I crop the daylights out of this. There we go. And now adjustment, paste, and all of those settings, look at that, it fit nice and neat. Do you see what I just did there? All right. So again, orders of operation, the first preset that I would have created for this would stop right here at structure. It would stop at structure. I wouldn't add those extra layers. That's something I would do later. And then save those and apply it to this image here. So order of operation is huge. And then making sure that any masking, in fact, let's experiment. Let's say, oh, I know, I've been doing this a lot lately. Ready? Let's do blur. Watch this. Twisted blur. Place the blur, let's say right about here onto the flower. There we go. There's twisted blur, mask, radial, and I'm going to do the opposite. I don't want to apply the effect here. I want the effect to be applied everywhere but the flower. Now, let's see what I'm left with. There we go. Look at that. And I can continue. Let's go to an extreme. There we go. All right. So there's that twisted blur. Now, watch what's going to happen. Because we have a layer mask, I did the twisted blur. I moved the point to here. Adjustments. Copy. Now, I could save it, but if I save it as a preset, well, watch this. If I apply it to this image here and paste, watch the results I'm going to get. Look at that. Look how horrible that is, even if I crop it. In fact, you know what? Let's do this. Let's go back to this one. Now, by the way, since this has settings already applied to it, when you apply a preset, it's going to remove any of the previous settings. And that was by design. Adjustment. Paste. Ready? Here it comes. Oh, look at that. It's not where it's supposed to be. So what I would do is, instead of getting frustrated and just say, the heck with it, doesn't work. In this case here, since you're designing it for yourself, then you know that's going to happen. So then now you're like, well, you know what? I don't want to keep adding all of these right here. Well, what were those layers I put in? What was the texture? What was the light leak? What was the order? What was the percentage? Still create it as a preset or copy it. Then this is where quality control comes in. Come over here to the blur tool. Place the blur where? I'm going to move it. Oh, there we go. Now it's taking shape. In fact, you know what? Let me do it again. Place the blur. Let's put it on the B. Oh, okay. I know what the issue is. Ready? Because I did this. But guess what? What I also need to do is clear that mask. So that mask, I need to clear it and then start over again with it. Invert. Let's see if it does. There we go. So you see how the mask was in the old spot. So again, that right away I figured it out, like, oh, okay. So if I were to save this, what I would do instead is clear the mask completely. There we go. Clear the mask completely. Now save it like this. Ready? Right click. Or let's say down here I save it, or adjustments, copy. Now that I come back to this one, adjustments, paste. The zoom is going to be in the wrong spot, which we know, but that's okay. And now I'll go back in for quality control. In a moment. And under here, now I'm going to place it. Look where it is. I'm going to move it down, place it where it needs to be. Mask, radial gradient. Tell it I want it everywhere but there. And now I'm back to where I have it. So with your presets, they come in stages. If you're designing them for your friends, do the very first one that we did earlier. So the very first one earlier is the basic one that's going to work on all of them. A good starting point. There it is. I got my starting point. Now that I have my starting point, get to it. There we go. Now that I have my starting point, then I can start to get creative and then start building from there. All right. So that's just a real quick way to make sure your presets will always work across it. Design the presets. Let me do this. Design your presets in a way to where the most common denominator will work with all. In fact, here it is. I'm sorry. There it is. Look at that. Before, after, and that was based on something totally different. So by doing stuff like this, there's your common denominator. There it is to where it's going to work across everything. But we're photographers. We love that creativity. That's when you create another set for yourself that you know, okay, well, I'm going to add all these textures, light leaks, the zoom effects. But I have to make sure that when I do go back, I use quality control, no masking, quality control, and then I come back into here. All right. Well, I hope that was helpful for you because presets are extremely powerful. And if you don't feel comfortable making your own first, stick to the ones that are built in. Find the ones that you love. Like you saw what I did here earlier. I found some that I liked. Let me see if I can get to it quick. And then here it is. Then I just made that my favorite. So when I click on favorites, look, the ones that we just did, up close and best. Best up close. Oh, I did some of these from before. Okay, quiet. Good. So when you place the heart on them, what ends up happening is they put it into the favorites for you, and then you're able to quickly find it again without having to go through all of those different sets of presets. All right. Now, by the way, if you didn't already sign up for our Facebook group, please do so. This way you'll get more information and more tutorials, plus interaction with the group. Scan the QR code. It's right there. And let's see if I have it right here. Yep, there it is. Let me get rid of social media. Rick Farrow, Rick Freeman, and myself. Rick Farrow is the Disney photographer. Rick Freeman is the photographer that's photographed every president since Jimmy Carter. And then, of course, myself will be, oh, sorry about that. There it is. We'll be in New Jersey in October doing a really cool workshop on medieval. All right, for medieval, that's going to be the theme. I'll also be shooting, lighting, and then teaching what I love best, how to use Luminar Neo. All right. So if you're in New Jersey around that time frame, check it out. You'll be glad you did. All right. Now, for those that are here, please stick around for the Ask Me Anything segment where you can ask questions about our topic today or anything that's happening within the photo industry. For everyone else, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you at the next coffee break.